Muhammad. Salamun alaykum, Ya Ali Madad. As I said, we will begin with a small lecture, which is very important and beneficial for our youth. But before I begin my lecture, please recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Tonight, the subject I have written about is very important because, as you know, from last Tuesday, I have started an important series of lecture about the companions of Imam Ali. It was my aim for approximately 1 year to make a series about the companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But I was extremely busy with my studies and Ramadan, Muharram and Tuesday lecture program. So Alhamdulillah, with the help of Allah and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and under the guidance of my Abba, Allama Asghar Mehdi Sahab, this year I compiled the subject and will deliver small lectures every Tuesday about the companion. This was a little announcement. I made it last Tuesday, but each Tuesday before Du'a Tawassul, we will be having a small lecture. These lectures will be very beneficial for our very young youth and children because this will help them increase their marifat for the companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And today, I have decided to discuss about a very important companion of Imam Ali, and I am sure we have all heard that name, which is today we will talk about Malik اشتر. Malik اشتر, as we all know, was one of the special companions of Imam Ali. During the Khilafat of Osman, he participated in the funeral of Abuzer, and because he objected the governor of Kufa, he was exiled to Homs. After he returned, people actually made him the governor of Kufa. During the besiege of Uthman's house, Malik was among the besiegers. The people that surrounded the house, Malik was among them. So let's start with introduction. But unfortunately, supporters of Muawiyah accused Malik of being an accomplice in the murder of Osman. They accused Malik اشتر. But after the murder of Osman, Malik was actually one of the most influential people, and he was calling people, come give our Imam is Imam Ali, come give bayt to him, Imam Ali is your Imam, come pledge allegiance with Imam Ali alayhi salam. Malik was one of the people that were telling people, come and please pledge allegiance with Imam Ali alayhi salam. And actually, during the Khilafat of Imam Ali, Malik participated in many battles. And not just any battles. When he participated, he was brave and he feared nothing. Example, Malik participated in the Battle of Jamal and in the Battle of Siffin. And eventually, he was appointed by Imam Ali as the governor of Egypt. However, for those who have listened to my previous lecture, we talked about Malik, and I told you that Malik was actually murdered before Malik was murdered before he could even arrive in Egypt because somebody gave him poisonous juice with honey. But I will come towards that towards the end of this lecture. But now, before I start talking on how brave Malik اشتر was in the battles, please recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. In the Battle of Jamal. So now, first let's talk about the Battle of Jamal. In the Battle of Jamal, Malik اشتر was the commander of Maymana. Maymana is the right wing of the army. So, as I have always said, in an army we have the general, the right wing. Malik was the commander of Maymana, the right wing of the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam. In the battle, Malik اشتر fought one-on-one. One-on-one means Malik was fighting with Abdullah bin Zubair one-on-one. There were only two people fighting between them. It was Malik and Abdullah bin Zubair. Abdullah bin Zubair, who don't know, he had the bridle to Aisha's camel. A bridle is the rope that is attached to a camel. Abdullah bin Zubair was holding that rope, and the rider of the camel was Aisha, as we all know. During the one-on-one battle, both of them fell to the ground. But Malik Ashtar had a better position because he was brave. So when Malik fell to the ground, he was ready to attack. Unlike Abdullah bin Zubair, when he fell to the ground, you know what he did? He started screaming, crying. He started shouting so much that his soldiers had to run and had to rescue Abdullah bin Zubair because he was so scared when he saw Malik Ashtar coming to fight him. As I said, Malik Ashtar was one of the commander of the army of Imam Ali. He would actually reach towards the end of the camp of Muawiyah in the Battle of Siffin. In the Battle of Siffin, Malik reached the end. He reached the end where Muawiyah and his soldiers were. The victory. When Imam came to fight, you could just look and tell that Imam Ali had easily gone victory. Imam Ali had the victory. The soldiers of Muawiyah were running in all directions, but Malik and the other soldiers, they were brave and they were ready to attack. So, in the Battle of Siffin, when Malik reached towards the end of Muawiyah's camp, he ended up seeing Muawiyah. And you know what Muawiyah and his soldiers did? They decided to put a trap. But this trap ended up tricking 20,000 Imam's soldiers. Now you might be wondering, what was this trap? Basically, they put the Quran on spears and put it high. And then when the soldiers of Imam Ali saw this, they got confused. Wait a minute, the people were going to attack have the Quran on the spears, and Malik Ashtar was on his way because he wanted to kill Muawiyah. So then these same group of soldiers go to Imam Ali and say, "Oh Imam Ali, what's going on? Muawiyah and his soldiers have the Quran on the spear." So you know what Imam Ali does? Imam Ali says, "Look, do not fall for his trap. This is a trap by Muawiyah's army." But Imam Ali's soldiers did not believe him. They said, "Oh Imam Ali, we want you to call Muawiyah, to call Malik Ashtar back." The 20,000 soldiers told Imam Ali, "You need to bring Malik Ashtar back or we will kill you." These were the soldiers. And then Imam Ali had no choice. He had to send a courier and he had to go and tell Malik, "Oh Malik, because of the trick of Muawiyah, our soldiers are confused. They have been tricked because of the trick of Muawiyah, the Muawiyah's trap. Malik, you need to come back now." But you know what? During the entire life, Malik Ashtar, after Jang Siffin, Malik Ashtar, during his entire life, he was saddened. And now you might be wondering, why was Malik saddened? He was doing so great in the Battle of Siffin. Malik was sad because on the day of the Battle of Siffin, he could have killed Muawiyah if those soldiers did not force and threat Imam Ali. This is why Malik was super saddened, because he knew that if on that day these soldiers did not tell to Imam Ali, "Oh Ali, you have to call Malik Ashtar back or else we will kill you." If the soldiers did not do that, Malik would be able to kill Muawiyah. But because of the soldiers, Malik Ashtar was not able to kill Muawiyah. And his whole life, Malik was saddened. He says Malik was sad because on the day of the Battle of Siffin, Malik could have killed Muawiyah. So, after the Battle of Siffin, Malik decided to go back to Iraq. Since Egypt had unrest, this is a way of saying Egypt was under some wars, civil wars. It had unrest. It was in continuous small wars, big wars. It had not rest a single day. So, since Egypt had unrest, Imam Ali actually called Malik Ashtar, who was in a different area in Iraq. Imam Ali says, "Malik, I appoint you as the governor of Egypt." And he actually wrote a letter to Malik Ashtar, and the letter is extremely important and interesting. But before I talk about the letter, we're gonna slowly get towards there. Muawiyah, we need to understand that Muawiyah had spies everywhere. So when the spies told Muawiyah, "Oh Muawiyah, Imam Ali just told Malik that he was gonna be appointed as the governor of Egypt," Muawiyah panicked. Because Muawiyah knew the second Malik Ashtar becomes the governor of Egypt, it is impossible to gain victory in Egypt. When Muawiyah learned what Imam Ali is appointing Malik Ashtar as the governor of Egypt, you know what Muawiyah did? He told one of his friends, "Oh, I want you to invite Malik Ashtar to your house. Give him food, and at the end, give him a juice, put poison in it, mix it with honey, and if you kill Malik Ashtar, I promise you will be my governor of Egypt." This is what Muawiyah did. Now you might be wondering, why did Muawiyah do that? For a very simple reason. Muawiyah knew the minute Malik Ashtar becomes the governor of Egypt, it was impossible to gain victory in Egypt. And now let's talk about the letter. Imam Ali, as I said, wrote a letter to Malik Ashtar. When he wanted to appoint him as the governor of Egypt. Most of the part of this letter is how a government should treat people. How a government should treat people, whether the population is Muslim or non-Muslim. And what responsibilities the government needs to have for the development of the country. And this letter has been translated in many languages. It's very easy. You can go on Google and you can type that letter and see it. But lucky for you, I will tell you that letter in English right now. And there are also many commentaries about that letters, also in many different languages. You need to read this letter. And right now I'm going to tell you a part of this letter. This letter is extremely important, because Imam Ali is telling how a government should be formed, how a government should treat the population. The letter of Imam Ali to Malik Ashtar, as I am saying, this letter has been extremely important. The letter concerns, so now let's start getting into the letter. When we start reading the letter, it says how a governor should treat the people. It also tells that what a convenient government should be like and what detailed statements a government should have. Imam Ali is detailing how the government should be made. And as I have said, it has been translated into many different languages. Commentaries have been written on it, and some part of the letters have been focused because it is so inspiring. Some parts of these letters have been read in big meetings, and I'll tell you in what meetings. This letter is so important that in some meetings with world leaders, they actually read some part. Now, before I begin telling you some of the subjects we see in the letter, let me just remind you that Imam Ali wrote this letter to Malik Ashtar when he appointed him as the governor of Egypt and the surrounding areas. Mostly concerning with the government should treat Muslim, how they should treat non-Muslims, and the duties concerning the development of society. Now, I'm going to be telling you some of the subject, or if you like to call it manners. It seriously depends on you what you want to call these, but if we were to put them in categories, we would say these are some subjects and these are some manners that Imam Ali wrote to Malik Ashtar. How to rule a government. Number 1, justice and fairness. Number 2, the satisfaction of the population. Number 3, not peering into, instead covering people's weaknesses. Then, having a good opinion of people. Taking intellectuals, men of intelligence and foresight as counselors for issues concerning the city. And this is something we still see now. When a government is formed, we see the president, prime minister. It depends for countries. And all of these president and prime ministers, they have some very smart and intelligent people. And these people are telling them, this is an issue in this part of the city. This is how we can fix it. Imam Ali says, you need to listen to them, the issues. Then Imam Ali says, considering different classes of jobs and occupations in the community and observing the rights of each class. Then he says, attributes of a judge. What are the power of a judge? Attributes of official and government agents. Giving priority to the development of farms and lands instead of taxes. Imam Ali, in one of the letters, in one of the part of the letters, he says, give priority for the developments of the farms and lands, and of course, do not charge any taxes. Then he says, condition of scripts. If you don't know what a script is those who write holy books. Good treatment of businessmen and artisans. A businessman is somebody who owns a company. An artisan is when you're kind of self-employed, you have your own shop. Let's say you're a shoe artisan, you make your own shoes, you sell it. So Imam Ali says, treat them equally. Then, being careful about those who have less, but about those who are poor. Causing no discomfort for people when leading in congregational prayers. So when, example, there's Maghrib prayer going on, make sure nobody's disturbed by it. You want to make sure everybody is satisfied and are getting the same rights. Giving no advantage to close friends and relatives from the Bayt al-Mal, the treasury. Removing people's suspicions about any possible case of injustice. Imam Ali says this is a way of saying if anybody says, I think what happened there was injustice, you need to go solve and make sure everything is justice. Peace and compromise with the enemy. And of course, keeping promises. Now there are way more, but these are some of the most important subjects or manners that are seen in this letter. Now I'm gonna tell you why this letter is so important. I know I discussed why the letter is so important a couple of minutes ago, but why not tell a little more? It is very important to know that this letter has been translated, as I have said, in different languages. And here's the fun part. This letter has once been read in the United Nations meeting. This letter is so inspiring, is so important that this letter has actually been read once in the United Nations meeting where we have leaders from all around the world. So we read how a government should be formed. This is how important the letter is. So this concludes tonight's small lecture, but do not worry, after this we will have Dua Tawasul and Dua Nur. So as I said, this concludes tonight's lecture of our small series, and inshallah next Tuesday we will bring a very important and interesting subject about the companions of Imam Ali. Please remember me in your du'as, and also you are all in my du'as.